Happy Friday the 13th, survivors and killers. Today's gonna be a different kind of video. Rather than just gameplay, I wanna talk about something infforsaken rather than just record gameplay. Specifically, the Spectre's most punishing killer, Jason Voorhees, today. Jason is the starter killer in the game, the very first killer the player initially unlocks. He wields a machete and a chainsaw along with being relatively slim and small. His special ability is having a noticeably smaller terror radius than most killers, giving him an easier time to sneak up on survivors not paying attention or just not having their audio on for some reason. I don't know why, but at least it feels like it sometimes. Despite this, Jason is very different from most other killers because of one crucial detail. He's strictly close ranged. 1X has a kit specifically for range. John Doe's spikes and give him some form of range, and Cool Kid's corrupt nature give him range, along with other things. But Jason cannot do anything if a survivor is far away. You need to have good stamina management and pathing in order to catch up to and kill survivors. However, for what he sacrifices in range, he way more than makes up for it in the punish game. His moveset is specifically made to make survivors feel like shit whenever they mess up, especially in chases. His gashing wound particularly is one of his most infamous cases. With his gashing wound, he can just take away half of a survivor's health bar unless they're guessed, which he'll have 70 HP left. Unless assisted by other abilities such as Slate Skin from Noob, Dusakar's Protective Shield, or just for some reason one time I had a gashing wound just miss me. I don't know. So it's very powerful. The problem is getting it to hit. But usually it's reserved for outside of chase, where like survivors just don't expect you coming. Survivors are hardcore locked in on a generator or any of that. So, other than that, a move that you can use in chase would be Behead, which can be used outside, punish, any of that. But you lunge forward and deal 20 damage, and give the helpless status effect, which means no abilities for you for about, say, 12 seconds. But let's say you aren't good with stamina management and you run out of stamina. So now what? Well, this is where his final move comes into play, the Raging Pace. With Raging Pace, your eye begins to glow red, causing you to move significantly faster, forcing you to walk, however. Despite this, you will still regenerate stamina over time, and the aura of the nearest survivor will be revealed to you. This is Jason's only means of finding survivors outside of just looking for them by traditional means. But honestly, the main attribute to not Gashing Wound, what am I saying? Raging Pace is that it buffs all of your moves. 25 damage slashes, standard slash, and it has a lunge as well, so to cancel it, you gain even more distance. And then with Behead, you still lunge forward at normal speed, and it does 35 damage opposed to its 20. And then Gashing Wound goes from a standard 50 to a monstrous 70. So it's really, really strong if you're still able to hit it. But usually you won't be able to get that monstrous 70 damage Gashing Wound because survivors will notice you within that time frame and will get the fuck out of the way. Honestly, Jason is probably one of my favorite killers in the game. Just sucks that he doesn't really have a good reputation with having his large hitbox, which honestly, in my opinion, without it, honestly, I don't think Jason would be very great for new players. especially in terms of um uh players who had just gotten into the game. Because if they nerf Jason, then you're nerfing base kit in Forsaken. Because Jason is the starter killer, after all. So you need to have something that's like eases the player into the game, while simultaneously balancing the killer roster where everything is about equal, even though there really is no such thing as equals. I mean, take Cool Kid for example. He is probably the easiest killer to play in the game, but it doesn't mean he's extremely good. He's able to pump out a shit ton of damage in like a heartbeat, but it doesn't mean he's the best killer in the game. Honestly, in my opinion, that title goes to 1x with how ranged he can be. And also, he just does so much damage, and his entanglement just hard carries him. But outside of that, Jason is just the starter killer. He's supposed to be bland, he's supposed to be basic. You're supposed to understand it pretty easily. Which is why he's seen as a pretty noob killer. But on a more personal note, Jason is honestly one of my favorite horror franchises. Just Friday the 13th itself is one of my favorite horror franchises. Not because it's like, oh, I love slasher films and stuff, which I do, I really do. But I remember Friday the 13th was the very first piece of horror media I've ever watched. So, honestly, I have a really big personal connection to it. So, it's pretty nice to see such an iconic bit of horror inside of Forsaken that I can continue to play. While Friday the 13th may not be my favorite horror movie, Jason is definitely one of my favorite killers in horror media.